Hello, beautiful people. My name is Laura, and welcome to
Soulless Magic, my YouTube channel.
where I talk about personal development and spirituality. This is the first of my foundational perspective series, where I share the spiritual perspectives that have influenced my mental health and life in a positive way. Now, this first perspective is a concept called allowance, also called detachment or radical acceptance. I first learned about this concept from detachment and manifestation, how in letting go, we allow in more. Then I learned about it in therapy. There they call it radical acceptance. And according to Google, it is a process of acknowledging and honoring difficult situations and emotions without judgment, fully accepting them as they are. Then in access consciousness, another spiritual modality, they called it allowance. And for some reason, the way they explained it really clicked in my mind. So, what is this concept? Like radical acceptance, allowance is the act of mentally allowing, accepting, finding inner peace with all of life, however it shows up, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, and all the in between and all the nuance. In allowance, you release the mental fight against anything, past situations, regrets, resentment, present moments of pain and suffering, whether mental, physical, or emotional. And you also release future expectations and worries. In allowance, you make space for it all and make peace with however life shows up. The way someone else acts or what they say, whether it's raining or snowing or sun, no matter what emotion you are feeling. With allowance, you find a non judgmental perspective. You release whatever is right or wrong about it. In doing so, you feel a kind of expansiveness. It feels lighter, freer, it feels better. Half of our suffering is our resistance to the suffering. So, this is a great place to start in a quest to diminish mental suffering. In allowance, you can find ease in anxiety, peace in pain, and lightness and depression. So, here is my personal example from just this past week. I placed a lot of hope and expectation on a particular romantic relationship that ended up not working out. I'm sure some of you out there can relate. I was feeling obsessed over the unforeseen ending, wondering why it didn't work out, complaining mentally to the universe about it, feeling anger and hurt toward the individual that I had put on a pedestal. What brought me mental release was when I came into a place of allowance and I told myself, I allow him to choose whatever he decides to choose. I allow this to play out in whatever way it plays out, and I accept whatever outcome arises from this situation. In doing this with practically any situation, emotion, etc., you take back your power and you take back your peace. You align. You see things from source perspective. Another great method for this is what I like to call the so what method.
So what?
So, I find this method especially helpful when dealing with something that I feel embarrassed about or when I'm struggling with accepting the past. So, think about whatever you're overthinking, regretting, doubting, and say,
So what?
so what?
So what that happened? So what if I did that? So what if they did that?
So what? It can be a helpful tool for finding peace. So, self forgiveness and self allowance is a major key to this. Not where you thought you'd be in life? How can you allow for exactly where you're at in your own unique journey? Not loving a part of your body, personality, behavior? Make peace with it. Allow it and be open to allowing new possibilities and new change too. And allowance isn't just about the external reality. Allowance is also an internal journey as well. Self forgiveness and self allowance is a major key to personal development. How can you allow for exactly where you're at in your own unique journey? Allowing for that to also show up in its own timing and way. You can't rush your evolution. When you detach from judgments, limitations, or belief systems that aren't accepting the past, the present, or the future, and instead allow life to show up however it chooses to show up, you are seeing things from source perspective, from God's point of view, unconditional love and acceptance, allowance. I believe that God or universe or source, whatever you call this omnipotent expansion and creation, this force underneath all of everything that exists, infinite in nature and ever expanding. I believe that all of life and all of death comes out of that divine expression in all forms, all variations, good and evil, and all the nuances in between. So, all of life is a part of God, an expression of the universe. And source is allowance. It is creation unfolding exactly as it is. God is in the beauty and the cruelty, the light and the dark, the good and the evil. This was the hardest part for me to understand with this concept. Raised Christian, I believe God was good, Satan was evil, and good would someday overcome evil. When thinking about allowance, I questioned whether one should come into a place of allowance. Do you really want to be okay with all the pain happening in the world? Does that just enable people to be more and more destructive? Allowance allows for all the pain, all the suffering, all the grief, and all the agony to be there. But it also allows for however you choose to react to the pain, the pushing it away, the avoiding, substance use, apathy, but also the passion and action and drive and desire to change and to not go through that pain again. Whatever emotions, behaviors, experiences that occur, you allow for all of it. And when you come out of those feelings in your own time and reflect on it, this is often where you can find peace with something wrong that happened to you or someone else. I believe in unity consciousness, that this underlying force connects and intertwines all of life, that we are all one, one divine expression, each a piece of the universe, a part of God. And I'm going to make another video about this because it's another one of my foundational perspectives. But with this perspective, allowance becomes easier to me in seeing that divine expression is unfolding exactly how it is, naturally and imperfectly, perfectly. Everything happens for a reason because that's exactly as life divinely chose to unfold, even in the brutality. And how do I make peace with the evil and negative things in the world? How I find peace is I ask myself, would an infinite being really be ever expanding without the darkness, without pain and suffering? How does one grow without struggle? How does one know what true bliss feels like without the contrast of agony? Even thinking about the natural world, there's no evolution without death and survival. Or even think about a story. Would a story really be anything without a central conflict, without the villain or antagonist? These are the rules in the play of life. Allowance recognizes this play of life. The winter, spring, summer, and fall, the stillness and the movement, the depression and the joy, the love and the grief, the balance of all of life, yin and yang. The reason I find this perspective so personally empowering is that in the allowance of suffering, from the mildest itch to the most severe hopelessness, you are able to, at the very least, shift your perception of the suffering. You release guilt for where you are, what you got wrong, for any ways you were out of balance. You allow yourself to change, heal, evolve in your own timing. You raise your energy, feel lighter, and feel brighter about life. It allows you to manifest easier and remain open to new possibilities for your life, while still not getting upset if those desires don't come to you in a particular time or way. You allow life to unfold however it decides to unfold. In gaining allowance, you find yourself becoming more open to new opportunities, more open to personal evolution. You don't just allow for the bad, you also allow for the good. In how many ways do we judge and disallow even the way the good shows up for us? Allowing yourself to show up in a new, lighter feeling way, allowing yourself to do the things you want to do, allowing appreciation for yourself as divine expression. When you make peace with all of you and all of your life, what else can show up for you? What else can show up in your life? Often in the attachment, in the disallowance, we don't realize how we are holding the thing we want even further from us. Allow yourself to see the blessings, the love, the beauty, and life all around you. Allow yourself to be happy. Allow yourself to enjoy being alive, but also allow yourself to cry and mourn and grieve and allow yourself to even struggle. So, I invite you now to join me in putting this in practice. Let's practice allowance together. So, right now, think about something that you are dissatisfied with. The first thing that comes to your mind. So, I'll go ahead and share mine, and it's one that I've had for a long time, the fat around my midsection. So, now focus on how that makes you feel. No judgment, just take note. How does it feel to focus on what you are dissatisfied with? Now, think about that feeling and your judgments towards that feeling. How can you find allowance for that exact feeling and the judgment? And now, how can you allow for the very thing you felt dissatisfied about? I'm going to leave an invitation here to pause and journal if it sounds fun or helpful, or feel free to just do this exercise mentally. So, I'm going to go ahead and share my mental process. I allow for my disapproval towards my tummy. I allow for my body shame. And I allow for all the icky feelings that rise up in that. I allow for feeling not enough, just the way I am. And I allow for my midsection to be exactly as it is. I accept my tummy. I carry fat in my midsection. So what? So what?
So what?
And here in this allowance, you can gain more insight and see things from a new perspective. For example, in my case, is the belief that I am sexier, more beautiful, more worthy if I have a flat stomach even really my own belief? Or is this belief not even mine? It's society's. It's the screenwriter of that one movie from my childhood. It's the belief of the seventh grade bully I had. It's not even my true belief, causing the dissatisfaction and the mental struggle. And even if it is your true belief, you can still find allowance in the midst of that. You can also ask, well, if this really isn't my preference, what possibilities are there that could help me shift or change this? In my example, doing ab workouts, eating foods I know don't bloat me, or lymph massage could potentially be actions to shift or change my body. Or I can do nothing and just accept myself as I am. Or maybe I do both, do the ab workouts and accept myself. When reflecting on the past, you could say, okay, I can't change what happened, but what can I learn from this experience and do differently next time? For the future, when feeling uncertainty or anxiety or wanting control over your future, you can say, how can I allow for possibilities while still making peace with however my future plays out? So, pause here again if you'd like to do some more journaling. Otherwise, if you're finished, how do you feel now? Now that you've done a little allowance, do you feel any lighter? Even if you don't feel lighter, allow for that too. Perhaps there is more to discover, and that's perfectly okay. So, that is allowance, my friends, one of the spiritual perspectives I try to keep in mind, especially when facing life's challenges. That has really helped me. If you gained any value from this video, go ahead and hit the like button. I'm a new channel, so I really appreciate any engagement to help boost this video to more people. And comment below, what did you work on allowing with me? Did it help you feel lighter? Please share your own perspective on this spiritual concept. Or don't, I'll allow for it all. Ha ha ha. Anyway, sending much love. Bye, friends.